Excellent. As you already see on screen, we now move to another panel conversation dedicated to large investments to accelerate artificial intelligence development with the inclusion of generative AI. As you all know, some of these techniques require significant infrastructural investments to support the foundation models that are behind them. And I'm actually very curious to hear what our panelists have to say. Both Italy and Canada are making substantial investments in this infrastructure. There were a couple of announcements on cutting-edge technologies earlier this year. And in this session, we'll highlight how some of these key examples result and emerging opportunities are supported by public-private partnerships, as well as the support for technology transfer to small and medium enterprises. I'd like to invite Félix Corriveau to lead the discussion with our panelists.
All right, it's me again. But I promise it's the last time today, so bear with me. In the rapidly evolving landscape of artificial intelligence, generative AI stands at the forefront of innovation, revolutionizing industries with its ability to create content, designs, and solutions as well that were previously unimaginable. As countries seek to harness the transformative potential of AI, international collaborations are becoming increasingly crucial. One such promising alliance is between Canada and Italy, as we know, two nations that are both investing significantly into AI to drive innovation and economic growth. Today, to talk about opportunities, partnerships as well, and technology transfer related to large investment to accelerate AI development, I'm joined by Adrienne Crampton, who's an Associate Director, Business Development at Healthy Brain, Healthy Lives, and an interdisciplinary program that aims to accelerate translational discoveries and create a global center of excellence in neuroinformatics at McGill University to improve brain health in Canada and around the world. Ms. Crampton, welcome. We are also joined by Stéphane Carpentier, who's an expert in corporate finance. He's also, amongst other things, an innovation and management strategist as a manager for IVADO, where he works for the Partenariat program. Mr. Carpentier, please join us. And to complete this panel, we are joined by Roberta Turra. She's the head of the data analytics team at the High Performance Computing Department in CINECA. The group supports research and innovation by assisting HPC users in the development of optimization of machine learning applications. Welcome in Montreal. Thank you all for being here today. That's quite a privilege to have you on stage with me. I would like to start with Ms. Turra. I'd like you to elaborate on the AI factory concept and the kind of outcomes it can deliver in terms of well-being for individuals, corporations, and communities.
Okay, thank you for the question. So first of all, speaking about large investments in AI, in CINECA, we hosted the Leonardo, which is the pre-exascale computational resources that has been founded by the European Commission. And this is computational resource is now at the 7th place in the worldwide classification in terms of computational power. And with just in order to give you an idea of the computational power that is there, if you had to train the old GPT-3 large language model on 8 GPUs, it would take 36 years. If you can train the same model on Leonardo now, it would take 1 day. So the computational power is really crucial for training foundational models and for developing AI applications. And the European Commission, after investing in the computational resource and after releasing the AI Act, now the next priority is to start to use these computational resources to do innovation. And to do so, The AI Factory is being now founded. AI factories are open ecosystems that provide not only computational resources, but also services and skills in order to support AI startups and AI companies to develop their innovation in artificial intelligence. So this initiative is open now. The first deadline is next Monday, the 4th of November. And with this open call, the AI factories will be selected all around Europe. And European Commission is funding each one with 180 million euros. And the same amount will be given by the member state hosting the AI factory. Why is it important? What is the impact, you asked? Well, AI factories will operate 306 degrees, so in any sector will benefit from the existence of the AI factories. If I have to give an example, we in CINECA, we invest a lot of effort in weather prediction, data-driven weather prediction. And we now have global forecast models, weather models, but they are at a resolution of 30 square kilometers. So they are not very useful to do practical applications. So another important field of artificial intelligence is to be able to downscale the weather prediction to a higher resolution. And now it is possible to do it at 1 square kilometer or even at 300 meters. And in this way, it is possible to have an impact on many other sectors that are influenced by weather. And first of all, agriculture and energy consumption and energy production, prediction, mobility, transport and mobility, and of course also health, as climate influences the spreading of diseases, the diseases itself and the spreading of the diseases. So this is just one example with weather prediction that has impact in many other sectors, but there are so many other possibilities in everywhere.
I think the three of you will agree that development of AI is about navigating different kinds of interests, sometimes conflictual, well, potentially conflictual interests. And so, Ms. Crampton, I'd like to hear you on the way we can support innovation in AI to create opportunities that will meet the investors' interests while respecting ethics and navigating IP regulatory considerations. That must be quite challenging, to say the least.
Yeah, thanks for the question. So just to give a little bit of background, I'm not an AI expert, but because we support innovation that has commercialization potential at McGill University in the field of neuroscience, we're seeing more and more AI come up in the technologies. So a lot of technologies are software as a medical device or platforms. So AI is becoming more and more present in our day-to-day, and understanding how to speak that language and what considerations now come into play is really important. I think the biggest thing is really understanding fundamentally, what does AI need? So how do you build AI? What does AI need to function? So from a functionality and development perspective. And on the flip side, for investors, well, investors always want and look at certain key elements of technology. So, you know, they always think of the regulatory strategy, they always think of the IP considerations, and of course, ethics is always top of mind. So understanding what are the non-negotiables that are important to investors and or industry partners, and understanding, well, what's the reality that we're working with, and what was needed to build an AI-powered solution. So at the crux of everything is just understanding both sides and then seeing what bridges can be built and at what stage should those be built. In our opinion, and what we try to do is we try to bring in that support as early on as possible, because when you're developing a technology, considering the regulatory strategy, the IP strategy, and the ethical considerations at the earliest stage will make it more likely that you don't have to backtrack on the technological development.
Investments in AI are very costly. And we'll talk about the risky part of those investments. But first, I'd like to ask you, Mr. Carpentier, from your perspective, what are the key considerations when making large investments in an AI project?
It's kind of funny because we just heard part of what I was saying. Infrastructure is part of the key element to take care about, because without any development, recruitment, etc., it's not feasible efficiently. And on the other end, when we think about ethical or legal concerns, as you just said, it's part of the story, because if you don't think about that, you will redo a project. You will just miss the target or a time frame, etc. So these two are part really strongly about the question, the answer. The other thing is about being tempted to focus on just quick wins or just technological development. Because as an innovation strategist, what I try to push on people is not to miss the quick wins, but to think about the larger picture, which is for long-term impact, is more relevant.
AI development requires money. It also requires collaboration, right? A lot. So, Ms. Crampton, how crucial is this collaboration between AI developers, medical institutions, investors for advancing the technology, and what are the key challenges in fostering such partnerships?
I think collaboration and taking that collaborative approach right from the get-go is key. When you're developing a technology in a medical institution or in an academic institution, well, of course, the tech transfer office has to be involved because it's a technology emerging from an academic setting or an institutional setting in a medical clinic or whatever the case may be. So making sure that the stakeholder whose responsibility it is involved right from the get-go, because they're often the ones creating the bridge between the investor that might be interested and the scientific team. On the flip side, making sure that the scientific team really speaks and has a dialogue with the investor at those early stages, saying, yes, there's an interest, but these are the realities of the technology. This is how the technology has to build. Perhaps it's built on open science, for example, just because of the setting it's in, which is often the case with different technologies built here in academic settings or in some of the hospital settings here that have open science principles. So being transparent about where those solutions are built, upon what types of data, and then working with the investor and saying, well, what's your reality? What are the requirements on your end? And troubleshooting and bringing in expertise if necessary. So there's a lot of regulatory experts and IP experts that are creating niches in these fields. And so AI has been around for a long time, but the key inflection point hasn't really been along for a long time. So the niches that have been developed and the people who are really staying up to date with the strategies, both regulatory IP and also the ethical concerns that are changing almost day to day, bringing those people into the projects and really creating an integrated support team around the projects, I think is crucial.
And how do you find that niche? And how can you create it? How can you foster it?
I think you look around, you keep your eyes and ears open as to, what are all the groups who have an AI specialty? Who are they turning to bring this expertise in? Because clearly there's commonalities in who we look for support from, and then working collaboratively with those resources, making sure that those resources are supporting projects across the ecosystem. And I think it's as simple as that.
Doesn't look that simple. Speaking of challenges, well, from my perspective, as I said, those investments in AI are risky, not only costly. I want to I want to talk about risk with you. So you're from this financial universe, Mr. Carpentier. Given the uncertainty on return with these investments, how do you assess and mitigate the risks that are involved in funding AI ventures, especially in sector related to well-being?
Let's say that first, there are common errors that I see as a manager, co-manager of the Partenariat program. And one of these errors is that the people don't prepare themselves correctly. Knowing your market, knowing the technology risk, try to test and characterize these risks are things that has to be done before, because you don't do that in a project. It just enhances the risk of any risk at the end. And talking about collaboration, it's another part. To de-risk a project, it's sure that there's, let's say, question marks around IP management, but there's ways to secure this, and ways to split projects in many sub-projects that will be able to securize everybody. And choosing the right architecture, choosing the right program that are enough flexible to split sub-projects, etc., are part of the story. And after that, it's a question of how you build teams also. Building teams, as you just said, each actors of the ecosystem, either it can be universities, CCTTs, private or governmental institutions, etc., are all good partners, but they have all assets, all advantages that has to be done. So the one big thing is to know the ecosystem, and to rely on, we have the chance to have the Conseil de l'Innovation that has many advisors. Rely on the advisor to provide you keys and suggestions, etc. The other thing is when know yourself. Know yourself is you have assets that sometimes you don't think about. When you talk with an advisor, you can underline these assets. By example, if you have data is the more important thing in AI development. I think you agree, eh?
Yeah, very much so.
So know these assets, it's very important. And finally, try to explore correctly all the options. Don't go to the first idea that you have to operate your project. And these are all keys to make sure that you minimize the risk. To not being afraid also to collaborate with many types of collaborators, not just subcontractors.
But there is no risk zero, right? There's all these projects are risky. Would you say that AI investors are too risk averse?
Yeah, but the problem is risk adverse is one thing, but the thing is we have to enlarge the vision of what is the opportunity. R&D is not just investing in institute and development. It's also investing in literacy enhancements. It's also investing maybe in supply chain enhancement or getting closer to customers. There's many outputs. If you just take the example of being closer to a new customer, how does it cost to do commercialization, etc., to get closer to a customer? With R&D, you can do both at the same time. That's about it.
Thank you. That's very interesting. We could have another panel only on that aspect, I think. Ms. Turra, I'd like to wrap this conversation with you and project yourself into the future and ask you, in your views, how will the intersection of AI, medical technology, investors' interests that we just talked about, and ethical considerations as well, shape future investments, investment strategies in the coming years when it comes to AI?
Okay, so AI and medical technologies. Artificial intelligence is going to, and generative artificial intelligence is going to enable applications in the medical domain that we couldn't even imagine many years ago. And for example, in the acceleration of drug discovery, or in the personalized medicine and the optimization of treatment, and also in the improved accuracy of the early diagnosis. So all these possible applications are attracting the investors, but these the same applications directly interact with humans' health, privacy, and trust. So the ethical principles are really important to take into account, and to be sure to have the patient consent to protect its data and to avoid biases is of paramount importance. So I think that the future investment will have to balance innovation with the ethical standards. And in Europe, we have the AI Act that is classifying the artificial intelligence application in low, medium, and high risk. And medical artificial intelligence applications are all classified high risk. This means that they will have to be compliant with very rigid requirements in terms of transparency and accountability. And it is very likely that other regulation will go towards the same direction. And so I think that investment will be impact-driven. They will have to take into account the social value into the metric of success.
Do we have, I don't want to put you on the spot, but do we have this kind of tools in Canada to evaluate the risk of an investment in the medical field, for example?
Just to maybe put an example on the table, at IVADO we have a member who's called Bone, who we help to, let's say, successfully have a mandate from the space agency. Why? To find a way to put for the space people to have autonomous medical support that could be as well usable on Earth. So to answer your question, there are ways that are growing progressively to have a status on these kind of projects. And we have a partnership also with McGill with our R3AI program that has been sponsored for the federal government on ethical, et cetera, So these things are going further, but it's not really at the end of the run at the moment. Don't know if you can talk about it.
No, completely agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, on this agreement, that's all the time we have. So thank you very much for your expose. That was enlightening. To Adrienne Crampton, Stéphane Carpentier, and Roberta Turra, thank you very much for this experience.
Thank you.
Thank you.